Hey there, science goblins. I am the Goblin King. It's Wednesday, the beginning of my work week, and yes, I will use this picture forever. Take it. As promised, I'm here for another review of a great movie with zero identity politics, zero woke talking points, zero strong independent women who don't need no man, at least not the type that get put on screen these days, all the time. Then the people that do it pretend like they're doing something so very clever and groundbreaking. It's like these fucktards haven't watched a single movie or television series before, like 2010. You morons literally aren't doing anything new. However, I know all those valid arguments have been run into the ground by better people than me for years now, and the woke morons just don't listen and still scream about isms and phobes. Whatever. Sorry, I went off on a little bit of a rant there. I'm honestly not sure if the daily segments I'm doing are making that better or worse. On the one hand, I get to bitch every day, which I'd do anyway, but now you all get to hear it. On the other hand, I might just be getting angrier than I was before. 6 of 1, I guess. Like I said, I promised you all a great movie filled with nothing but entertainment value. Well, I have delivered. For tonight's great movie review is an 80s classic from the master of 80s teen movies, John Hughes. Which one of his awesome library do I have for you tonight then? Well, I figured I'd go with Weird Science. Why? Well, I had the theme song running around in my head for about a week, for some reason. I honestly don't know why. I just did. So I figured, what the hell? I'll watch Weird Science, then talk about it on the YouTubes and the BitChutes and the Rumbles, and make people listen to what I have to say. If I had to hear the song in my head for a week straight, you do too. First off, what's Weird Science about for all the ones of people that have no idea? Well, Weird Science is a teen comedy about a pair of nerds in the 80s, Gary and Wyatt, who, inspired by a Frankenstein movie, decide to use the amazing computing power of an Apple IIe and 80s internet to create a virtual woman in order to ask her questions about the opposite sex and get advice on dating. At least I'm pretty sure that's what the plan was. It was never that clear, if I'm being honest. When Wyatt's computer fails to provide the power that the boys desire, they decide to hack into, I believe, NORAD or the DoD or something. Again, not clear. And borrow their computing power. A room full of floor-to-ceiling taped computers. This is done through a hacking sequence that I'm pretty damn sure inspired a terrible 1995 movie, though I have no direct evidence of this. Anywho, the power proves to be too much, and somehow they wind up creating a real flesh-and-blood woman who is completely and utterly devoted to them, and will do whatever they want. They named this woman Lisa at her insistence. She insisted they name her since they created her. Hey, calm down, neo-femmies. I can see you foaming at the mouth through the powdered sugar caked around your lips. Anyway, the rest of the movie is really Lisa working overtime to basically turn these two awkward, down-on-themselves nerds into confident, self-assured young men. What she does under the guise of getting them to loosen up, have parties, be around other people, and confront problems head-on. She's really a very wise woman. Also, she basically has godlike powers for some strange reason. I have no clue why. This movie is purely for entertainment value, as I said, not its deep storyline. First off, part of the reason this movie is great is because John Hughes legit just made great movies in the 80s. Especially teen movies. This is the same dude who did 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Basically all the Brat Pack movies. With the exception of Ferris, I believe. I don't think Ferris was a Brat Pack movie. Anyway, this particular movie featured Anthony Michael Hall. Which leads me into my next point, that being that this film had Anthony Michael Hall. For real, I had an older brother that looked almost exactly like this when he was a teenager. It's actually really eerie, and I can almost smell the teenage BO every time I watch this movie. And feet. Ugh, that was a rough year for a 10-year-old. Anyway, Anthony Michael Hall was one of the Brat Pack and he played Gary. Gary was pretty damn near the exact same character that Anthony Michael Hall played in The Breakfast Club, just a little older, I think. Perhaps a tad goofier and more awkward if that's possible. For real, there were some pretty cringe moments in this, and they were all Anthony Michael Hall. Ellen Mitchell Smith played Gary's rich computer nerd friend, Wyatt. Mitchell Smith has exactly 12 IMDb credits to his name, including this movie. Apparently, he didn't have much of an acting career after Weird Science, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't ever part of the Brat Pack either. Maybe he just didn't like acting. Though, to be completely honest, I find that really interesting personally, because I always liked Wyatt a lot more than Gary in this movie. I always felt like his characterization was a little stronger, and his storyline was the more intriguing one to me. Gary just always felt more like he was along for the ride, and that this was really Wyatt's story. I mean, Wyatt did all the work creating Lisa. It was Wyatt's computer. Pretty much the whole movie takes place in Wyatt's house. Wyatt was the one who would have been slaughtered if his parents had come home at an inopportune time. Wyatt's older brother was the one terrorizing the duo, which is also a nice segue into stating that Bill Paxton was in this movie. He plays Wyatt's dickhead older brother. He has some pretty funny moments, mostly at the end though when he comes home after the party. Know who else is in this movie? A very young, very baby-faced Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. Kelly LeBrock plays the stunning, super intelligent, and super powerful Lisa, the one who carries the two nerdy boys on her back through nearly the entire film. Take note, Hollywood morons. This is how you write a strong woman. This is another one of those movies where I can't quite put my finger on why I think it's great. I mean, the entire premise is utterly ridiculous. Two boys create a living woman using 80s computer technology. Now, I know I keep calling it an Apple IIe. I don't know if that's what it was. I know it used giant 6-inch floppies. Of course, any woman will tell you that 6 inches isn't giant. I'm being facetious, obviously. I just know that this movie is fun. It's funny. It was one of those movies from back when I was a kid that was basically a mainstay. John Hughes films in the 80s and 90s were something that everybody knew and everybody had seen. Everyone had their favorite one. Mine, of course, were Weird Science and The Breakfast Club. Everyone knew the quotes and knew the characters. This was a movie that prominently featured two nerdy guys and had a small taste of what it was like to be a nerd back in those days. To be awkward and outside of most social circles, and to have maybe one or two good friends, if that. This film is really just a great nostalgia film. Maybe a fun, goofy comedy for people that don't have many or any memories of those bygone days. If there was ever any doubt, this film is always going to be a recommend. Go out and watch it and let me know what you think in that handy comment section down below, if available. While you're down there, don't forget your head protection, and click those fantastic like and subscribe buttons in order to join the Viridian Horde. I'll see you all tomorrow for another day in pop culture and a fun anime review. See you then. Lates.